To another live episode of the Relevant Recruiter Show. This is your host, Donnie Gupton. Thank you for joining me today. And today, I've got another phenomenal guest. Today, I'm joined by my friend and client, Domenic Maiani. And Domenic is the founder of Lazio Search Group, a executive search firm that specializes in identifying and recruiting top talent in the supply chain and the logistics space. Domenic and I met a couple of months back, crossed paths in the Forbes.jobs network. He joined the program, and he also had one of his partners, Grace, join the program. So we're going to talk about Domenic's journey today, and then we're also talk about the work that we did together in the Relevant Recruiter program. And if you have a team, this episode is going to be awesome for you. You can see how Domenic has empowered his team to employ some new tactics into his business. But Domenic, thank you so much for being with me today on the Relevant Recruiter Show.
Donnie, thank you for having me. Excited to join and have a good chat with you.
Awesome, man. Well, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your background? You know, what inspired you to get into the recruiting industry and ultimately start your own recruiting agency?
All started back when I was playing college hockey, and then once I was done playing college, I played a couple of years pro. When I got done playing pro after injuries, a buddy of mine was at a recruiting firm, and he's like, "Hey Dom, what are you gonna do?" I go, "I don't know." Yeah, I had no clue at the time. Ended up just joining, and I knew right away it was for me. I liked it. I kind of felt like I was a professional scout, right? Still trying to put that hockey mix into it. And, that's how I got into it, I think over 13, 14 years ago now. And then recently broke off from my old partner, started my own back during COVID. So Here we are today, 2.5, 3 years later.
Nice. Now, before we go too far down in this business stuff, I want to dig into that hockey journey. So where'd you play college hockey at?
The Ohio State University.
All right. So you're not a Wolverines fan then?
Nah, I am somewhat. I'm from Michigan, so I almost went to go play there. They wanted me to wait a year. At the time, I was a centerman when I was playing. They had 4 centermen. And then one graduating the following year. So I decided, I wanted to go right out of high school, and then went right to Ohio State. They had a spot open. 5 guys from Michigan followed me. We all went together. Great group of freshmen, and it was a blast.
That's awesome.
Those guys today.
Yep. Being a former college athlete myself, there's a lot that I learned, just from being a competitor and being a college athlete and competing at high level. What do you kind of take from that experience that now kind of, help you with your business?
I think it's just there's a lot I take from hockey at that level, right? And it's just showing up and competing every day.
Yeah.
And I made a post about this today. It's really, if you're not learning, right? Somebody's coming up from behind and trying to take your spot. And in oversaturated recruiting market, it is super competitive.
Yep.
You always got to be learning and going. And I think that's what drives me every day. It's like, I hate losing. That's just how I am. I hate it. So whatever it takes to, outbeat our competitors. And, we're a smaller firm, right? So
right.
That's, I think the biggest thing I took away from it is that competitive nature I have in me, that drive, that just, I know what it takes to get showing up every day and not taking a day off. Right. I think that's the biggest thing I have taken away from playing college and pro hockey.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Right. And just always having to compete. You always know that somebody was kind of chasing you down when you're in a competitive environment. So that makes a lot of sense when you explain it that way. And, I was a former walk-on myself, so I have that mentality of I'm always, I wake up every day feeling like I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, right? And I think that's just a big competitive advantage of just grinding, right? And really just believing that you can kind of achieve, what you're after.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of athletes do well in business once they put their mind to something and then they find something they love to do. Like anyone coming out of college, most people don't know what they want to do, right?
Right.
This ended up being something I love. I love doing this, and I put my mind to it, and it was just go every day. It's a grind, right? There's days where you're like, do I want to do this? Am I struggling? And you just got to find a way to make it through it. And there's a thing called recruiter burnout, and it does happen. And you just got to find ways around it and battle through it. Just like any other business, right? There's going to be ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We just got a question coming from Patrick Montgomery. He said, do you know Lou Colsant?
I do. I think I know Patrick too, actually. Luke Olsant, I actually almost just placed him at one of my clients. Uh, he played at Ohio State a couple years before me, but that's funny that you brought him up. I was literally just talking to him last week
That's
for
funny.
a role that I potentially have for him.
Small world. Small world. Thanks for the question, Patrick. And for those of you that are joined with us live, feel free to go in ask any questions of Domenic. We're going to be talking not just hockey, but we're going to be talking about his recruiting business as well as some of the success we've had in the Relevant Recruiter program. So feel free to go and ask some questions. But if you could tap that reaction button just to get more viewers here, we would appreciate that. So, being in the recruiting industry, how have you seen it? You said, kind of 15 years ago. I mean, how have you seen it change? Let's not go back 15 years, but let's just say like the last 5, what's changed for you?
Even just the tech stack, the different tech, and you can get lost with all these new AI shiny tools, right? And I've had this conversation with you. I've been down those rabbit holes, right? And there's a tool coming out every day, and it's just sticking to the fundamentals and just stay in your lane and focus on what can help you, right? Like there's tools out there that can make your life easier, and just focusing on the ones that work and just go with those, right? But for me, I'm always still looking at tools. I do that at night. I'm scrolling through my phone, just seeing any other tools coming out that could potentially help or make my life easier, my team's life easier. But you're right. You mentioned this to me the other day. It's like, Dom, stay focused on these certain tools and just go with that. So that's what we're doing. We picked the tech stack, and that's what's working. So we're going to stick with it until I find something different.
Yep. Now, how big is your team outside of yourself?
We have 10 with 2 more joining, so we'll be at 12 here within the next 2 weeks.
Nice. So, for those, that are listening that maybe only have 1 or 2 or thinking about growing, I mean, what were some of the challenges for you, as you bring on new team members?
I think the biggest challenge is bringing on, especially if they don't have come from the industry or have industry experience recruiting, is having a training program set in place for them. Is like the way I learned it was I sat next to somebody, and I watched them for 2 weeks, and then I just hit the phone, right?
Right.
That was a different ball game. That was more temps, contractors, and sprinkled in direct placements. Now we're more at the executive level, higher end enterprise account executive positions, director, VP level roles. And if I sat somebody next to me, I'm going back and forth. It's too hard for me to train them, right?
Right.
Then some of our recruiters are remote, and they're located in Texas, New York, and other parts of Michigan. So it's very tough. That's something I wish I would have set in place earlier as a training program. And then once we joined yours, that was great for me to bring on Grace and show her what you've been able to show her and teach her through your program. Just amazing. But not only that, is also interacting with other recruiters,
Right.
from different segments, different markets, and just seeing, hey, what's working for you and this is what it's helped us. So I think that's been a big help. But new recruiters coming in and training, I think you got to have something in place to help them right up front. That's something that I wish, if I went back 2 years ago and redid it, I would have a training program set up with the different tech stacked, and also learning our industry, our niche, those key terms, lingo, and because that's the biggest challenge, that once you get on these calls, right?
Yep.
That comes with experience and just jumping on enough phone calls until you get it down.
Right. Right. No, I think that's great advice, because I think there's definitely, sometimes we get the cart before the horse. We hire too quick, and then we have somebody that could be really valuable to our organization, but we're not given the tools to be an effective, a team member. And so, yeah, having those systems set up in place, and I love how you kind of reacted, and also, help build out your system on the fly with Grace, for example. I think that was powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
What
And
advice do you have? Because I think you've got a pretty forward-thinking mindset in terms of investing into yourself, and investing into, your employees, right? You went through my program, and then you also invested in Grace going through, my program with you. So I think sometimes people, because a lot of what we're doing is personal branding, right?
Right.
And you're empowering Grace to now go build her personal brand. I guess the question is like, how do what makes you feel good? I mean, Grace, if she builds a personal brand and blows up, hey, I mean, I guess she could go out on her own. What are you thinking as you're helping her, take this next step for herself and her personal development?
Well, I think it's right. It's becoming a domain authority in your space, right? And I got a certain target and persona that I'm targeting, and one that she's targeting. But yeah, I think for anyone watching and trying to scale their company, the hardest part is finding the right people to put in the right seats, right?
Right.
So if you got a good group of people, you pay them well and just build something strong together. That could be because everybody that on here that's built the company or is just trying to scale their recruiting firm. That's the hardest part is
Right.
finding good talent. So one, Grace is an absolute rock star. She picked up on it quick. I actually found her. She was selling at Tailroo, which is kind of like an Indeed, and that's she kept following up, and I'm like, if this girl ever becomes available or open to work, I'm gonna reach out to her. And she was interviewing with a couple of big companies, and she put her trust and believed in me. So it worked out well for both of us. She's doing amazing right now, and
Yep.
it's just trying to keep up with her, right?
Yeah, no, she's absolutely killed it. Yeah, I mean, every meeting she showed up to, she was almost like sharing wins almost every time. So it was awesome. Grace, hopefully you're listening with us right now, or actually, hopefully you're on the phone doing something. Yeah,
She's actually at the Inc. 5000 event in San Antonio,
love it.
wheeling and dealing there.
Love
So
it.
that's where I told her. She goes, "Hey, do you mind if I go?" I go, "Absolutely, go ahead."
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, kudos to you for being forward thinking and empowering your employees to find the best versions of themselves. I think that's super important as we move forward. Let's kind of transition to some of our work together. What was kind of what happened in your business? What was going on to make you go like, yeah, I want to try something different, I want to try something new?
So I never really was big on marketing, branding, or knowing anything about it. Right? I was just everything I was doing was just personal connections and just people I knew or referrals. I knew in order to scale, I really needed to have that dialed in. And what your program has really taught us is, like, hey, here's your personas you want to target. Here's, a lot of recruiters they'll go out, let's say on Sales Navigator, and they'll just start trying to sell from, the first message on. And I learned, like sometimes that may work, but a lot of times it's just building that relationship.
Right.
I'm targeting the right personas, right? Like I'm targeting C-suites and supply chain and logistics, supply chain tech, and that creating content around that. So I become a domain authority in that space.
Right.
That's the biggest takeaway I've learned from your program. That otherwise I was just free for all, right? Just this company looks good. Let me just reach out to them, right?
Right.
Just trying to stay in that space, and I'm still working on it, right? Every day, trying to get better and creating content and going through that and that's a process. Everyone in your program always puts that on the back burner or procrastinates. But I think that's something that when you join Donnie's program, it's take advantage of it right away.
Yep.
You're not gonna you might not see the results right away. Some of these relationships it takes time, right? One of them, for example, when I first started your program, it's been a 5 month journey, right? It was just constantly, following up with them. Hey, we don't use recruiters. Oh, hey, you know what? I see that you're recruiting supply chain managers. Let's have a chat. So it's just fostering that relationship, and then just next thing you know, they might need you, and it's all about timing too.
Right.
Keeping track of that and following up with them, and a lot of people don't. Right, like one of my biggest clients came from 8 messages of no responses, and just most people give up after 1 or 2.
Yep.
And it's just constant follow up, and that's a company that I knew I wanted, and I was going to do whatever it took to get into that company.
Yeah. No, I think those are great reminders. That it, especially in the market right now, like the most, finding a good way, I guess, to be aggressive but tasteful is really where it's at, right? So we're not pummeling and burning bridges, but we're making sure we're controlling our narrative and staying top of mind. Because right now the hiring cycles, are way longer. Getting candidates and closing the sale and getting clients is way longer. So having those systems in place is a great reminders there.
Yeah.
When, if you were to go back, was there a particular session, advice, or tool that resulted in like an aha moment or led to like a significant shift in your perspective?
Yeah, really. There's a few sessions for sure. It's definitely when you told me about time blocking. Uh, that was a game changer for me, right? Because I was just getting in the office and just going, wheeling and dealing, right? And just all over the place. And then I would lose track of what I was doing. And, I'm working on this role. And then I completely forgot about this candidate. So once I started dialing in, focusing, time blocking my day, structuring it like that, it was a game changer, right? And that
Love
was
it.
something
That's
that you
cool.
told me. And, I tell everybody that now. It's like, it's a must, right? Like I almost tell people like it was my idea, but no, it definitely came from Donnie. And then also just becoming a domain authority again in your space, right? Because there's the people there are recruiters out there. Oh, I'm a jack of all trades.
Right.
Well, that could be great. Yeah, you can be good at sales, recruiting, but like you want to have your niche and also be able to service other industries just in case that certain market is down, but you definitely want to become known in your space. And so you stay top of mind. That's something you told me too. Is you said one day one of your calls, you're like, "Hey, what did I post yesterday?" And everyone on the call was like, "I don't remember." And you're like, "Exactly. You guys paid for my class, and you don't remember what I posted yesterday." And that made me think it's like we're always so worried about what we post, what do people think, and you're absolutely right. Nobody really cares, right? You're just trying to stay top of mind
Yep.
and hit them at the right time. And that really resonated with me when you said that. I was like, wow, he's right. Because I didn't remember what you posted yesterday. Do
Yeah.
people, I don't remember what I posted yesterday, So it's like people don't care. Like we always think people care so much about what we're posting and how we're typing it. They just want authenticity.
Right.
With AI nowadays, you could tell when people are posting these AI
Yep.
on LinkedIn. You see it all the time. It's just like that's not come from the heart. It's just fake, right? You're making a prompt in
Right.
ChatGPT, and yeah, you could utilize that all day, right? And then in custom tailor it to figure what you want to say in your message. But I think just being authentic is key.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you kind of grasp onto that, and then the whole What I mean, it's our ego that keeps us small sometimes when we need to be big. With our online presence, usually our ego of like, oh well, I posted that a couple weeks ago. Somebody's going to call me out on it, and it's like,
Right.
yeah, nobody's paying that close. They care, but nobody's paying that close of attention, right? To like, yeah, the errors on showing up. That's the win. There's, people always get confused with like inbound leads, thinking that it's like one magical piece of content. What am I going to learn in Donnie's program? What's one post that's going to change it all for me? And it's not. It's people becoming interested enough in you and trusting that you are the domain authority. That's what drives the inbound lead, and the content, shares that. So I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that from your perspective.
And it's like you said too. It's like it's just compounding, right? Just
Yep.
post after post, keep that content coming, and you're at top of mind, right? So
Right.
when they do see that, like let's say a job pops up and you reach out to them, oh yeah, I see Dom's posts all the time. He's posting
Right.
on all these supply chain logistics roles, supply chain tech roles. Let me reach out just to see if he's got any candidates in the pipeline.
Yep. Yep. Now, one of the things that we teach in the program, and you've definitely run with this, is kind of the personal side, right? Which I know some people definitely shy away from on LinkedIn. I call it the connection. But can you just share any success or stories you've had with sharing a little bit behind the scenes? Who is Domenic authentically? Because you said that is like, hey, we need to show up authentically. And I know you shared some stuff, I think, about hockey, and I think you shared some stuff about your daughter and communion and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, share some of that if you don't mind.
Well, I learned that from you too, right? Like I didn't think to post family pictures on a business platform, right? Like LinkedIn. But going back to my analytics, all of my posts was with his family and stuff like that, and people getting a view into your life. Those are the ones that I had the most views, the most you know responses, comments. Like those are key too, because people want to know who you are, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't want to think, okay, I just see that picture. He's a supply chain recruiter. Like, who is Dominic? Is he somebody I can get along with? We got hockey in common, right? We got golf in common. Find any way to make that connection.
Yep.
I think that helps big time.
Yep. And for those of you that are with us live right now, if you can go in and give a little likes if you're enjoying Dominic's story here, feel free to go into the chat and answer any questions. We would definitely appreciate that as we continue to go along here. You've shared a couple of things on terms of like what we've seen for results, but can you share like a specific area or aspect of your business that has improved, as a result of the program?
Well, we've been booking meetings nonstop. I think we have calls with you every Monday and Thursday, right? So we get on there and share it, and every time we're on the call, it's just Grace booked another meeting, I booked another meeting, and a lot to do with just personalizing the messages, getting creative. Like you told us in the program too. It's every recruiter out there sending email blasts. They're sending the same message, right? And it was getting creative and sending Loom videos.
Right.
Finding a connection that you can connect on and really resonate with them. And I think that was key. Once we started doing that, I noticed our numbers are just skyrocketing once we did that. And we were just booking meeting after meeting to the point where we were turning down clients, right? If it wasn't the fee that we were looking for, we're turning them down.
Yep.
And we would also go to the clients and say, listen, if we are going to work with you, if they seem like a good client on the call, if we're not getting feedback within 24 to 48 hours after submitting a candidate, we're going to think that the role's not that important to you. Now, there are times where obviously people are busy or, it could be a certain time of year. But, at the end of the day, that's all we ask. Give us the feedback so we can help, best support you and bring you the top talent. Because if you're not giving us feedback, we're just shooting in the dark, right? A job description is one thing, but, okay, we want to know about the culture. What does the team look like? How many, for example, on a sales role, how many sales members on the team are hitting quota? What's the ramp up time? Stuff like that. You're not really going to see on a job description.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome that you guys are seeing it that way. Have you noticed that because of kind of the presence and the way that you and Grace are showing up, do you think that's helping you attract the right client? Are they finding more value in you when you're getting on the phone? Have you been able to connect any of those dots, just out of curiosity?
Absolutely. Every time, right? It's just they're seeing our posts, and we just know how to handle those conversations now because we had them. It's a lot of practice too, right?
Yep.
Sometimes we'll take calls where we know, like, hey, this probably isn't a good client for us, but just especially in the beginning when I was getting Grace going, it's just Grace, get on any call just to practice, right?
Yep.
To get a feel of how to make that conversation flow, and then we started implementing intake forms. So, what we'll do with the client is like, hey, we got the job description. All right, let's go through this intake form that we created. What specifically are we looking for in this area? Soft skills, or what kind of personality types? Are there any assessments involved that we're going to need to be prepared for? That really helped big time once we started implementing that. Not only for us, but when we pass it on to the recruiters, now they know exactly what they're looking for. They're not just shooting out 100 messages and hopefully one candidate responds that they think's a fit.
Yep. Kind of elaborate on that, because I know that we, in the program we teach automation, but we teach a very kind of laser focused approach, right? It's not just about like spamming and connecting with everybody, but it's about, let's leverage numbers, but let's do it in a very, targeted way. How would you, what your thoughts are on that?
So with the Ulink and other automation campaign tools we use, Ulink, Talon, Dripify, which we talked the other day, we're going to dial it into a couple, but it's really just getting that the lead filters and account filters set to exactly who I'm trying to target, right? Instead of just saying supply chain and logistics in Texas, right? Like, okay, well, if I want to target 3 PLs that specialize, let's just say, in a certain niche, like I'm only going to go and look for those, filter out those leads on Sales Navigator, put that into Ulink, and personalize that message. Whether it's like, hey, I have a candidate that aligns perfect for this role. So doing some research ahead of time is what kind of roles do they have open, and say different campaigns. If I know I set a lead filter for a supply chain manager in Dallas that specializes in, LTL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll go and filter out for LTL C-suites, and we'll set that as our parameters in Ulink and get those automation campaigns going,
Right.
and then setting up those follow-ups, right?
Yep.
So it's doing a lot of work for you behind the scenes, but you're also you have that personal touch on it.
Right. Right. That's one of the things I think you guys have done well is you've really done it how it's designed, which is, let's leverage automation, but let's also personalize it. And that's what creates, massive results for you and the team, is being able to, because the reality of it is best billers are consistent, right? And the automation helps with that consistent part of it. So
I agree.
Yeah. Awesome. So I know that you've been, you've done some other personal development stuff, and whatever you're comfortable sharing here, but my program versus what else is out there. And I'm not looking for like a good or bad, but what advice would you give somebody as they're looking for coaches out there? What are the things to look for? What are the things to avoid, so to speak?
Well, for me, I get reached out to all the time by coaches and this and that. And when I came across you and when I was screening these coaches, right, and getting on the calls, is I knew right away that you were authentic, genuine, and you truly care. And not to mention what I really love about it, your course is you have that group setting and those calls. And another thing that you do that I think a lot of coaches don't do is you respond immediately with Loom videos. And I was like, this is amazing. I'd shoot you a message and I'd have a Loom video. And that's when I started to use Loom a lot more is once I seen that you did it. I'm like, okay, when one of my team members asked me a question, I'm just going to shoot a Loom video because it's so much easier.
Yep.
And then I can show them directly how to do it on the screen if it's something that, hey, how do I do this, Dom? Or, that's huge. But no, I think it's, you're just genuine. This is what you specialize in. This is what you love doing. This is what you do. It helps so many people, especially high billers and even newcomers, right? And then that's the benefit of the program too, is you got a mixed group that rotates, right? New people coming in, and some leaving. You got experienced recruiters and you got new recruiters coming in, but they both can learn from each other, right?
Right.
A new recruiter, let's say a up and coming recruiter that is tech heavy and knows a lot about a tech, they might share tips and tricks that I didn't know about, right?
Yep.
So, and then I can tell them like, hey, here's how you can probably conduct a sales call and just everybody helping each other.
Yep.
Where
Yep.
I think a lot of the other groups they set you up with the course and maybe you have one call a week with them. I know because one of the other ones I set up with before I joined yours, and that's how it was. And they just didn't have the knowledge. I should have dug deeper into their background and really knowing. But I think obviously for you, it's look at your results, look at who's been through your program. You're with Forbes.jobs, and just everything you bring to the table.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you sharing that. What's up, Matt? Yeah, my wife shared with me that she met. I know exactly what you're talking about. So just got a guy from said greetings from Boise. So right on, Matt. Looking forward to meeting you sometime in town here soon. I don't know if you're going to that HR event next Thursday, but I'll be there. That's excellent, man. I really appreciate you kind of sharing the perspective of working with me, what you've seen and experienced with other coaches, and yeah, man. I mean, I love to geek out. I love doing what I'm doing, and I think one of the things that I undervalued, early on was the community that was built, right? And then it continually showed up. I mean, this aha moment for me happened about 3 years ago, but now it's like, dude, that's one of the biggest selling parts of the program, and it's part of what I kind of try to create within the community. There is a relationship that is encouraging people to be open book and foster and share, but it's just the people that come in and. Yeah, it's like you learn from me, but then there's so many other good side conversations, and how many other recruiters are you working with and maybe doing splits with and things like that. Yeah, I mean,
you nailed it. Plus, you got your Facebook group, right? And then a lot of the relationships you build through there. Let's say I get a role that I don't specialize in, well, I can pass off to a recruiter I met in your group that I know is great, and I have done that, and I'm doing that now, right? So it's just those relationships that are just you can't replace that. It's just something that it's a tight knit community. You'd be shocked, right? A lot of other industries are very competitive. People don't want to share their information, their secrets, their tricks.
Yep.
In your community, everybody's helping each other.
Yeah.
Like we got people that are in the same space, but they're still helping each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's key. And also like I get access to your videos for forever, right? So if I got a new team member coming on, I say, listen, go watch some of these videos and become a domain authority. Let's say we're going to expand into the EV space. Go, start creating your content and watch these videos of Donnie's program.
Right. So you're going to be able to leverage this program for everybody that you hire moving forward.
Yeah, I think we're 100% going to implement it into our training program moving forward. Like this is going to be part of the checklist that we have when new people come on board. You're going to go through Donnie's program. You're going to watch these videos and because it really helps, right? It me knowing, right? Like I didn't think branding and recruiting, I didn't know anything about it, right? I was just going based off relationships, but now seeing the benefits of it, it's amazing. Because now what I'm seeing too is, like I said earlier, is a lot of those messages that I sent previously are now coming into the picture, right?
Right.
For reaching out. Even one of my team members today just got a candidate that reached out, high level C-suite VP, right, at 20 something years at FedEx, and I won't say the current company. I don't want to put them out there, but that natural organic traffic is now coming in, and he's been seeing it now. So it's great.
Yep. No, that's excellent, man. I know you've kind of shared some of the results, but from what you know, I mean, what are the results? And I mean, I know that we're just talking about what we did working together, and we're just scratching the surface of this. But where are you guys at right now in terms of the impact it's had on your organization?
Well, just from I was trying to find out some numbers because we're trying to from Grace and mine, right? Where we had 16 meetings booked, five signed agreements, but I think we actually had more than that. Now I'm looking back at it because I'm trying to go through. And that's something we're implementing a new ETS and a different CRM moving for Q1 of 2024. Our team's meeting. We follow this traction book, the EOS system.
Yep.
So we're implementing that. But yeah, if you want to go out in terms of numbers and billings, 6 figures over that if we count those. And here's the thing: 4 deals are in the final stage right now, and this is from your group that are right there is probably over 200K in billings, and that's going to be within the next 2 weeks. So they're in the final stage. One of our clients just finished their quarter, right? They were on different quarters. So this is the hiring season for them, and those 4 candidates, 4 different positions are about to be, getting offers, and it's going to be nice paychecks.
Yep.
Excited.
Yep. Oh man, I'm happy for you, and that goes to the work that you and Grace have been putting in. I mean, you don't just sign up for my program and see the results, right? You got to come in, you got to roll up your sleeves, you got to do the work, and you guys have kicked ass, taking names with that. You guys are consistent, showing up, all the time. I think there's a lot of people, if they were like sitting out there, how would you say, like, you're in a unique spot, right? I mean, you even hear it on the calls. There's some people that just certain industries are just slower right now, right? But how would you say in this volatile market, like, how would you describe the health of your business after going through the program?
Great. So we're down in the tech space compared to last year, right? But what we did is, knowing that was happening, we transitioned and picked up more roles in other, supply chain and logistics roles that we probably would have been, not as keen on taking on compared to last year when the tech space was booming. But, ego out of the, we left that at the door, and if we got roles here, we're doing more work to make the same amount of money, but guess what? We're still making placements.
Right.
Where I know some recruiters that are like, hey, I only do C-suites. for startup tech companies. Well, if you have no roles right now, you have no roles. You're not,
Right.
no money's coming in. So, I mean, you got to branch out. You got to find a way to keep bringing money in, especially when you got a team. I'm not only supporting myself and my family, my 3 kids, but also everybody on our team. I got to keep everybody fed.
Yep. Yep. What's up, Matt? Thank you for the comment. Appreciate that, my friend. He said, "Great job, Dominic and Grace," and Donnie with the blueprint. So,
Oh, what's up, Matt?
um, how would you, if somebody was considering my program, right now, but on the fence, I mean, what advice would you give them?
So I'm somebody that is cheap, right? I'm frugal with my money, right? I will tell you this: investing in yourself and this program, it's a must, right? Like even me having 10 plus years, 13 plus years experience in this space, going through this is something that I didn't know, right? So if you're not learning, you're falling behind. Somebody, like I said, somebody's always trying. There's somebody right now incorporating an LLC or a corporation,
Yep.
recruiting firm trying to come up right behind you because they think they could beat you out. Let's say they worked in the industry and now they're going to try to do this because they see other recruiters making money, right? So you always got to be learning. And I think for me, it was a no brainer once I met with you, and I was like, all right, yeah, it could be a hefty cost on some people, but one placement covers that,
Yep.
right? So at the end of the day, the knowledge, the network that you're going to get, the people that you're going to be able to stay in contact with, ask questions, and even like you told me, it's like you could still ask me a question anytime now that you're done with the program, and
Yep.
that's just I think genuine person you are, and always willing to help, and just look what you do for the recruiting community. And I'm the same way. I tell everybody, reach out to me if you have questions. Like
Right.
I got 2 buddies that were engineers, and I got them into recruiting. They started their own company. They both did it on the side. They quit their jobs. Now they're full time. And they specialize in civil engineering and roles like that. So I'm always willing to help too. And I think it all comes back to you in the end, right?
Yeah.
You help somebody else, it's going to come back. Some people aren't like that though, believe me. So be careful on who you're giving your information away to.
Yep. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you sharing your experience about the program and working with me specifically. It's never fun asking these questions, quite honestly. Haven't asked questions about myself, but I do appreciate you, sharing. There's a lot of people that find value in these types of interviews to kind of get behind the scenes of what actually is working, what actually is, of course, I'm going to say my program's good, right?
Yeah.
But, I really appreciate you coming in and sharing, you know, stuff that has nothing to do. And if you guys are listening live, we're about to wrap this thing up. So if you can go in and touch that reaction button, if you found a lot of value in this, enjoyed Dominic's story, if you can go like, love, throw an insightful thing up there, whatever you want to do, that'd be awesome. But forget about me for a second, Dominic. I mean, for anybody who feels stuck, what advice would you give them if somebody's feeling stuck right now?
Don't give up. Be aggressive. Keep the content going. Keep the messaging going out. Um, and just keep after it day after day. And if right now you have no roles and you're trying to do business development and you're feeling like you're getting no messages, no replies, start picking up the phone. You got to hit them on all the angles: phone, email, LinkedIn. Just keep going. Set your target list of whatever your niche space is, your niche industry, and go after those clients. Especially if you look on their LinkedIn page, you see, oh, they have 480 jobs open. Well, clearly there's a pain point there, right?
Yep.
So you got to find who's the decision maker to get you in there and hit on those pain points. Hey, I see that you have 480 jobs open. Obviously, you guys are losing money by not having these positions filled, right? We'd love to come on and help, support your team. And, sometimes when you reach out to talent acquisition, they think you're trying to take their job, right? We're not trying to take your job. We just want to be a partner and help bring you top talent.
Yep.
And I think that's why I always target C-suites directly, and then get that warm introduction to the talent acquisition team.
Yep.
I find that to be the best for me. in my industry, it might be different in others, but I'm pretty sure it's probably the best way to go about it in any space. So I would try that, but just don't give up.
Yeah.
Follow up with your messages. Don't just send one message, two messages, and think that they're not going to respond. Like follow up, call.
Right.
Get on the phone, and if there's local companies, walk in there. COVID's over. Walk in the door. Like don't be scared to do that.
Yep.
You gotta stand out too and send Loom videos. Do something different. Don't send the same messages that every recruiter is sending, every business development. I mean, I can show you the messages I get from RPO companies every day, thousands of them.
Yep.
And they're all the same.
All the same.
Right?
Yep.
Nothing stands out to me. It's just like one of those, even something like they hold up the sign and say, "Hey, Dom," it's just something like, okay, well, at least look at that message. They went a little bit above and beyond somebody else, right? So it's just trying to get their attention. And then once you get them on the call, that's where you got to, really understand their pain points and how you can bring value, and then, kind of just whatever it takes, like my method. Sometimes like, I don't always like telling people some of the stuff that I do because it's super aggressive, but sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't, there's times where I'll tell people you're either a source or a partner. You don't like hearing that? Well, guess what? You're going to be backfilling a lot of those roles because we're taking them.
Yep. I love it, man. I love it. I mean, it's just kind of a reminder to be like relentless, right? Be relentless with your effort. Hey, any means necessary, calling, video outreach, voice outreach, whatever it is, multi-platform, walk through the door, be relentless, control what we can control, don't get caught in our head. I mean, those are great. Those are really great messages that you shared there.
Yeah. And I think another thing too is, which I wish I would have started from day one, is tracking everything on your data points, everything. Obviously, automation tools, you'll be able to track that, but email campaigns, but like even your phone calls, right? Track all that. Where is your business coming from? And then that way, when you bring on new people to your team, or even for yourself, it's like, okay, well, I've had success, a better success on phone calls, right? So I'm just going to start doing, get a dialer, get a dialer and just get it going. So just track all that, all the data points that, it's going to help you.
Excellent, dude. Excellent advice. If you guys are looking, if you're listening right now, and if you're looking to have, some success like Domenic, if you're looking to control, you can control with your recruiting business. If you don't have systems in place that are leveraging LinkedIn, if you're not in your content strategy right now, ultimately, if you're just looking for wins and clients, reach out to me. We can set up a free call. There's absolutely no risk for you. All I'm going to do on this call is see if you are a good fit for my program. You heard from Domenic. If you come in and do the work, the return on investment is there. It should be a no-brainer for you. But the call is our next step, and the call, there's no obligation. If I don't feel like I can help you out, then I'll point you in another direction where I can. I'm genuinely just looking to help people. So if you are interested in that, drop a comment below. I'll reach out, or just send me a direct message, and we'll set up a time to talk and help you. The key thing is you got to be a badass like Domenic, right? You got to come in. You got to know how to do the work. You got to be a proven successful recruiter. You can either be month 10 into your recruiting business, month 1 into your recruiting business, or 25 years into your recruiting business. You just need to know how to recruit, and I'll help you leverage yourself. So Domenic, I appreciate you sharing your story, your success, your journey in working with me and being transparent with everything there.
I appreciate you and the network, the people I met there. And I'll tell you this, it is worth the money to spend.
Appreciate that.
If you want to grow and get better, this will definitely help you.
Love it, man. For those that are listening with us right now, where can they find you? Where can they stay in touch with Domenic?
I'm on LinkedIn pretty much all day. Lazio Search Group. Where I have a YouTube channel coming. Right now, I got to change the name because of copyright. But right now, it's called The Masterclass Recruiter. But I was on Brianna Rooney's podcast, and then Recruiter Preston. So you'll see those videos on there.
Excellent.
But I am going to have my own channel going. And that's another thing, learning from you is get that podcast going, right? Get that traffic going. Like I didn't I didn't even think to do that until I started talking to you about it and what software to use. And you've told me what to use. You got to sign up with Donnie. Just get on the call. Just get on the call. You'll figure it out real quick.
Right on, man. Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the action you take and the impact you're making in your space and your industry. And thank you again for showing up today, sharing your story, and looking forward to continuing working with you. And we're just obviously scratching the surface. Everything that Domenic shared today is what he's achieved. In my program. We'll probably have you back here a year later on the show, and you can catch everybody up into what it's been like after you've implemented this stuff for a year and what the impact is. So
awesome.
I'm excited for you and the team, man, and all the things that are coming forth to you.
Anytime. Thanks for having me. And again, the course was amazing.
Awesome. And thank you guys, everybody that tuned in live today. We appreciate you being here. Never hesitate to reach out to me or Dom if you have any questions. And we'll see you. We've got another live interview next week. If you are in the Boise area, next Thursday, I'll be speaking live at Ironwood Grill off of Glenwood. Come check it out in the evening next Thursday night. Until then, we'll see you. Dom, thank you.